Welcome back to RBD Block Challenge. I'm Cindy Cloward, and today we are working on block number 4. It's called Ribbon Star, and it's designed by Fran Gulick. So this is what a ribbon star looks like in our confetti cottons, and this is what it looks like in our beautiful batiks. And I'm working on our confetti cottons today. So like always, you need to download the pattern on the Riley Blake Designs website. It's a free pattern, and it's a 2-sheeter. You can do it front or back, or on 2 different pages. I'm doing it on 2 different pages. And I've already cut out all my pieces. I've used my stickers to label them. Let's get started on creating this block. So I am going to put on my glasses, and you'll notice that there's 2 units of the same color. So I'm going to take you through how to create both of those units. You're going to grab your end squares, and it tells you to just start with the G square and make that one at a time and repeat. I'm going to have you make them all at once so we can chain piece. So we're going to grab the G, the J, the D, and the A. And again, you can mark these corner to corner. I went ahead and already marked them corner to corner, and this is going to be your guide, not your stitch line. You're going to sew a 1/4 inch on each side. So you can use your Seam So Easy guide with this, but it is kind of a bigger square, so sometimes it kind of goes off the edge, almost. So I am marking those corner to corner, and we'll line them up, and we're going to sew down on each side. And I do like a scant 1/4 inch, so it's essentially a 1/4 inch, maybe just slightly under. I'm just gonna chain piece all of these squares together. All right, let's go down the other side. All right, let's clip our threads in between. And we're gonna trim on that center line. There we go. All right, let's go press these open. Pressing to the dark side again. Okay, let's bring them back here. You're going to have 2 of every color now. And to save time on camera, I'm going to show you what the finished unit looks like here. So this is what we're going to create. And I'm just going to do 1 of each of these on camera. So let's take a look at these squares. Now it's going to be very important that you have them trimmed down to 3 inches. They should be 3 by 3. So I'm going to use this ruler since I don't have a 3-inch ruler. So I'm going to take off one of the dog ears right here. And then I'm going to put it in the corner at 3. So line that up, 3 here, 3 here. line your center seam here with your center seam here, and anything outside is going to be trimmed. Trimmed down to 3 inches. Okay, that's the size we want. So I'm gonna put those, my extra one, to the side, and we're gonna trim down these 3. Okay, we are gonna move those to the side. Let me clean up my workstation. And let's move to the next step. So we're gonna work on this ribbon part right here. And how we do that, this is called the stitch and flip method. We are going to grab our P squares, and they're gonna go on the colored side of our half square triangles. So when you sew them on, they'll flip back, and that'll add the first part of the ribbon, and then we're gonna grab these smaller squares, stitch and flip it again, and see how that's gonna come together. So this is a really clever block. Now again, you're gonna take all your P squares, draw a line corner to corner, and that's going to be your stitch line this time, not your guide, your stitch line. And I am going to skip that step because I've got a Seam Sew Easy guide, and just line it up and sew down the side. So I only need 4 of these, not the 8 if I was making all 8 at a time. So I'm gonna take this and my design board over here. I'll move this over there. Again, remember it is on the colored side of the half square triangles. You've got your Seam Sew Easy guide, line up your tip there with this center line down here, or I'm gonna sew on my marked line and just sew straight on this unit right here. Okay, clip your threads in between. And again, you'll be making 8 of these all at once instead of just 4. But when you bring it back here, pull that back and make sure you've got this ribbon, that little piece of fabric. Before you trim, that's just what we want to see. So we're gonna line these up, get your 1/4 inch plus ruler, and let's trim down. Okay, let's go give this a press before we start our next step. Warm up those stitches, and again, I'm just going one direction. We are not going to worry so much about nesting our seams this time. Okay, we've got these pressed and ready to go, but before we move on to the next step, let's make sure they're still squared up to 3 inches. Because if they're not, again, our stitching is not perfect. That's why we square things up as we go. It can throw this unit off. So we're gonna take it back, grab a ruler and pull it into the corner at 3 inches. Now, I'm gonna do a little trimming. You're gonna think, this is hardly any trimming at all, but it adds up. So if there's anything outside, and it's probably gonna be from that white square that you just put on, because you want this unit to be perfectly 3 inches square. So again, it's just little pieces but they do add up, and then they can throw your this little unit off. So don't skip this step. So I'm going to check them all. And ever so slightly, I just need to trim. Again, just a teeny little piece. Okay, little baby pieces right there. All right, we're ready to move on to the next step. I'm gonna just clean up my workstation a little bit. So here are these units here. And let's just, you're gonna have 2 squares, I only need 1. So grab your L square, your I, your F, and your C. It's going on that same corner that we just trimmed. And again, mark these, especially if you don't have a Seam So Easy guide, corner to corner. That's gonna be your stitch line. But I'm gonna skip that step. All right, let's clip our threads in between. Take it back here, open it up. Look at your little ribbon. It's looking good. Check them all. Make sure you like your stitches and the placement. Now we can trim down. We're going to trim down to 1/4 inch, and then we're going to go to our pressing station. Press it open, flip it up, stitch and flip, right? Okay, let's take it over here. And then a lot of times you can give them a little mist. Let's see, that looks good. Put that there. There we go. Okay, let's take these back here, and we are going to check them again to make sure they are 3 inches square. That is looking good. That is looking good, so I don't need to trim that. So we've got all 8 units finished. Let's go to the next step, which is putting 2 of these units together. So make sure you look at the pattern on how they're assembled. I'm gonna put this over here. And let's take a look. We've got pink and the blue like that, and then below there we'll sew them all at once. We've got that gold color with the pink. And just making sure they're making that V. We have the blue with the green, that kind of citron-y color. There we go. And then we have that citron-y color that way and that way. So these are all pressed one direction, so you're not going to be nesting your seams. So this is what I recommend. I recommend that you line up your stitches. So I'm going to remind you, one of these bird pins is where you're going to sew down the side. So this is the side you're sewing down, and then on the bottom, your stitch, where your stitches meet, again, little bit of bulk there. It's okay. I'm going to put a pin in my stitches right there so they line up like that. So that's one. And we're going to do the same thing. This is going to tell me where my stitches start, which side of these two units we're going to sew together, and then I'm going to line up those stitches with a pin. Right like that. Now we're ready to take it to our sewing machine and sew down the sides. Okay, let's clip in between. Open them up, take a look. That is looking good. What we want to see are those stitches coming together. And it makes that nice V. Do you see that nice V? That is looking good. Okay, these are all sewn together. We're moving on. We are going to the center part of this block, the center unit, and we're taking that M, and we're gonna start with H and B. So H and B, and we're working on opposite sides of this square. So you can take these half square triangles. I mean, we're not making half square triangles. You can take these squares and we're gonna put them on opposite corners. Now this is gonna be your stitch line. And you're gonna sew one here and then one on the other side. You can pin them in place or just kind of coax them in place. And I do sew just right on the line, or just like a thread to the outside. Okay. Just check, make sure it looks good. Stitch and flip. We're gonna trim down. Trim down again. Take it to the pressing station. If you like a little starch here, you want these pressed nice and flat. There we go. And then the opposite, check your placement, grab K and E, check your placement, and this is going to go on this corner, that's gonna go on this corner. I'm just gonna give them a little mark. Can you use your Seam So Easy guide, but sometimes when they get a little larger, it's kind of nice to just have a marked line. Again, you're gonna sew corner to corner. And this is not a snowball block, so they do cross and make a point on both sides. So you are going to have a 1/4 inch on each side. Okay, let's go sew down both our sides. Okay, just give it a little peek. Make sure your colored squares are on the right sides, and now we can trim down. Then we'll go to our pressing station. Give it a nice press. Again, these are your scrap bin. Grandkids love to make little things out of those squares, so have a little scrap bin for your grandkids or your kids. Okay, this is what we want to see. We want to see that 1/4 inch from the side, and we are going to make sure it's still measuring 5.5 inches. And we don't need to do any trimming. And we have a 1/4 inch on each of those points. Looks great. So we're ready to move to the next step. And let's bring all these units over here. So we've got these O squares. Those are going to go in our corners. Here's all our stickers. Sometimes I reuse these stickers, and sometimes I just throw them away. Okay, let's take a look. The blue goes on that side. And so we have got blue here, blue here. That is lining up really well. Green here. There we go. See how that's coming together? And now we're back to just sewing our sides. I love to flip these over. Now, this is sewer's choice, right? You can open up this center seam. If you would like, you can open up this center seam. You know me, I don't do it very often, but there's a lot of bulk coming in here. So I might do something different today and open up that center seam, or you can flip it to one side. Now, what we want to do is line up this point to that center point of that block. And how I do that is I kind of do that peekaboo method. And when you pull it back, it should make a little square. So I just line that up, and sometimes I even grab a pin right here. So here's your point right there. And then I line the point up, make sure with that point, the bottom point, and pin those points like that. So you know they're going to behave and just line up perfectly, because you want those 2 points mirroring each other. Now, if you have one of the squares that feels slightly bigger, just give it a little tug. We should have measured and remeasured. So that's the one I'm worried about. So that one, the square on that outside unit is A-okay. And then we're going to flip that over. And we're going to sew down this side. Okay, open it up. And this is what I want to see. I want to make sure those points are lining up. You got the nice V there, you got the nice V there, and that's looking great. So those are, that side is good to go. I don't cut in between my threads, and I'm going to flip it over like this and work on the other side. I will pin here. And then these flower power pins, I have one where I pin and one by my machine, and I flip them back and forth. because you need a place to put your pins when you're sewing. So it's nice to have 2 sets. Okay. Again, I'm going to finger press this open. Sometimes you just gotta open up those seams. You don't see me do that very often, right? And then just see the point right there. I'm gonna just put that pin through here to this point right here. There we go. Line it up right there. And then I just kind of angle my pin down like that. Okay, let's take this all together to the machine. All right, I don't cut my threads in between. It keeps everything really organized, and we're gonna open it up. And that's looking really good, really good. Okay, we just have 2 more seams. And we're just repeating what we did before. Finger pressing, opening up that center seam. There we go. Taking that pin right at that point. You can see it right on the opposite side. And then you can we can nest these seams. These want to go in, so these naturally want to go out, so we can nest these 2 seams on the outside. So I'm going to nest there. Those are going to go in, and nest here. Okay, that looks good. You can pin your outside. I'm just going to give them a little tug when I put them under my machine. And again, let's finger press that open. We're ready for our last 2 seams. Okay, let's take it to our pressing station. And let's look. This is what we want to see. Those points coming together. Nice V's there, nice V's there. And it's looking great. So I'm going to give this a nice little mist. I'm going to press from the back side. And look how pretty the back side is looking. Makes a nice pattern. Not that anyone will see it, but I can appreciate how pretty that looks from the back side, right? Those little joys of quilting. Now there is some bulk here and here. So if that, sometimes you have to help those seams go the right way. Some of them want to flip-flop. So sometimes I go back and press from the back side. And look how good that is looking. Let's square this up. And take a look. Again, lining up all your lines. What we want to see is these points inside this aqua line. And it's looking really good. In fact, I don't think I need to trim up anything on this block. I think it really helped trimming it up as we went, so we have an accurate size block at the end. So here's my finished block. It's called Ribbon Star. It's designed by Fran Gulick. I can't wait to see what Fran does with her own block. But congratulations if you've finished this block. This was a little more of a challenge. So join me next time for block number 5. It's called Ombre Dash, and it's designed by Bev McCullough.